Well, welcome to Sunday school. It's a beautiful, classic Sunday school day here in Sacramento. Very seldom do you hear me do anything but complain about Sacramento, but today I have to say it's the most beautiful spring day uh, that I've ever seen. Now, we live right next door to Lutheran Episcopal church, and it's a classic church. It was built in 1948. Nobody goes to it. It's still functioning. There are events and things like that, but there's no parking lot or anything. It's just there to be a beautiful neighbor. It's like it's like, oh, our side yard is a church. Okay, it's just beautiful. And today's Sunday school. So I'm Constance says you've got to wear a tie for Sunday school. So anyway, Sunday school for me, I talk about it a lot, and it's from a bygone era, and very few people sort of can identify with the bucolic, uh, naive, terrifying Midwest in the 1950s and 60s sort of lifestyle. And in those days, uh, even if your family wasn't religious or particularly spiritually conscious, even, in other words, didn't give religion much thought at all. But everybody, if you had a job in town, if you were a school teacher in town, if you ran a business in town, it was just understood that you had a church that you went to. It would be unthinkable if, in the course of a conversation with your neighbors or people in town, it'd be unthinkable if asked, "What church do you go to?" to say, "I don't go to church." You would be labeled strange immediately. Okay, this is true, and these are good-hearted people and everything. It was just expected that you would be a Roman Catholic, or you would be one of the white bread Protestant groups. This was considerably before the evangelical movement was uh, super active. There were a couple of Bible Baptist kind of churches that had strange reputations. The minister had to sleep with all the got the first night with the bride and things like that, and scandals and things like that. But if you're Methodist or Lutheran or Presbyterian or uh, Episcopal or Roman Catholic, uh, people sort of left you alone. But it was weird to see some of my own teachers that I knew were just not only assholes but criminally perverts, mostly coaches, uh, singing in the congregation every Sunday morning. But my real church, and I was active in the church. My mom encouraged me to uh, be in the choir and be like an altar boy, the equivalent in a Methodist church. I lit the candles and dressed up in little robes and lit snuffed the candles at the end of the service, and I was in the children's choir, and I folded the bulletins and did chores around the 100-year-old church. So cool. I got the church all to myself on Saturdays. I was the only one, and I could fold bulletins, and I could go around, and I could peek on the altar and smell the century of candle wicks. And I mean, that's where I found, that's where God was, okay? He certainly wasn't in the sermons, and he certainly wasn't in the church activities, and he certainly wasn't in the Bible. My real church in those days, what I really gave my heart and soul to, was later on in the day, after I lit the candles at the 8 o'clock and 11 o'clock service and put them out. And every Sunday I would go to the movies. I'd go to the movies every Saturday too. That was my church. And I wrote something a while ago that I'm going to share with you. I think I've shared at least sections of this with you before. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women are merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. 666 is the number of a man, and Aleister Crowley is a tough act to follow. I grew up in the 1950s in a small town in eastern Nebraska. Looking back, I realize how very lucky I was to come of age in an environment where the air was fresh and the water, at least in those years, was pure as any place on earth. At the time, however, I didn't consider myself lucky at all. In fact, I felt caged, like a wild animal in a zoo run by well-meaning but totally inept, insensitive, and perhaps even dangerous zookeepers. I was painfully isolated and felt as if I were the only person in town that engaged in any form of self-examination. I never really fit in with my peers. I refused to join my classmates as they blissfully rode their bicycles through the poisonous fog of DDT spray truck killing summertime mosquitoes. Yeah, DDT, fogs of DDT from a truck. And all the kids rode their bicycles behind it for blocks and blocks and blocks. All my late friends. Who Vietnam didn't get. I rejected the ridiculous explanations of God, creation, and my own existence, proffered with unquestioning conviction by my Sunday school teachers. Television would be my only link to the outside world, a world of comedy and wit and art and music and ideas and drama. Thank God there was a movie theater in town, because the cinema transported me to an adult world of beautiful women and handsome men, and heroes and villains, adventures of the soul, acted out in faraway places and times past and future. The theater was for me holy ground. It was my temple, my church, my university. Each Saturday and Sunday, I worshiped at the altar of the silver screen. Movies delivered everything the church was supposed to deliver. They liberated, then elevated my consciousness, fired my imagination, ignited my libido. and brought me, body and soul, into the living presence of the gods. I yearned to be on stage, and as I grew older, auditioned for every school, church, and community production, play, and musical that presented itself. Contrary to what you might think, drama did not present an opportunity for me to escape or get out of myself, but a chance for a few minutes to be myself. As an adult, I'd learned there's real magical method to the Dionysian madness of dramatic ritual. And I'll digress for a second because theater started as temple worship. The theater with the proscenium arch was a temple of Dionysus. Indeed, every magical ritual is a sacred drama, complete with all the colorful elements that contribute to the power of great theater: costumes, makeup, weapons, conflict, and most of all, love. Aleister Crowley was certainly not the first magician to recognize and exploit the power and potential of magical theater. But he was arguably the most audacious in his attempts to squarely lay it undisguised in the lap of popular culture. The 1910 public performances of his Rites of Eleusis was a watershed moment in his magical career. In all of our magical careers, whether you know it or not. But when I say that Aleister Crowley was a tough act to follow, I'm not talking about the Rites of Eleusis or his exploits as the road manager of the Ragged Ragtime Girls, yeah, or his press conference at the Statue of Liberty when he claimed Ireland, when he claimed the island for Ireland and burnt his passport, or supposedly, or when he started World War I, or when he shat on the carpet in the lobby of the Savoy Hotel, but rather a far tougher act to follow. Now, when I first delivered this talk, I seized the opportunity to have a captive audience, and I picked up a guitar that I just happened to bring along with me, and I sang one of my songs. I'm not going to sing it for you, but I will recite the words sort of like a poem, because it fits in. Don't worry. It's When You Fall in Love. Words and music by little Lon DuQuette. Okay. I used to think that love was just biology and emotion, an island of bliss in sorrow's infinite ocean, existing apart, locked deep in each lover's heart. But love is bigger than he and she, love's the beat of God's heart. When you fall in love, you change the world. You change everything. Sun, moon, galaxies are created. Your genes are mutated when you fall in love. When you kiss your love, you kiss the world. You kiss everything. Subatomic particles start to tingle. Space and time mingle when you fall in love. Love's eternal, is what it is, was what it was, and it shall be infinitely loved forever. Transcendental love's all the all, it's wall to wall, and it's you and me. When you're making love, you lose the world. You lose everything. Two turns into one, and then nothing. It's kind of a quantum thing. When you fall in love. Okay, there's a segue to this, so don't start throwing tomatoes. Love is a quantum thing. Will is kind of a quantum thing. The tree of life is kind of a quantum thing. The Enochian aethers are kind of a quantum thing. The concept of archangels, angels, spirits, and demons is kind of a quantum thing. Knowledge and conversation of the Holy Guardian Angel is kind of a quantum thing. Crossing the abyss is really kind of a quantum thing. Existence is kind of a quantum thing. You are kind of a quantum thing. And love and will and the tree of life and the aethers and the archangels and spirits and demons and your holy guardian angel and the abyss and existence and you and me, all these things are events of consciousness. And consciousness is kind of a quantum thing. But before the word quantum entered our vocabulary, we used another word, magic. Magic and quantum physics both blithely admit two things can be in the same place at the same time. Magic and quantum physics happily agree that one thing can be in two places at the same time. And magic and quantum physics leave traditional religious and religions and philosophies in the dust by audaciously suggesting that infinite things can be in infinite places at the same time and at infinitely different times. Even more exciting is the idea that action that is applied to one particle affects other particles at other times and in other places in space. Every breath we take, every move we make, thank you, Sting, every thought we think affects absolutely everything. When you fall in love, you change the world. You change everything. And when you wake up, everything awakens. The illuminated magician is one who wakes up to the reality that all is consciousness, and that ultimately the magician is the totality of that consciousness. We can call this totality of consciousness anything we want to call it. If we don't get all sappy, superstitious, and frightened, we can even call it God. But the magician doesn't view God as some gigantic mechanic who invented the big universe machine. Rather, the great what it is, God consciousness, is an actor. An actor in its own cosmic drama. An actor playing all possible parts. Performing all possible scripts. God is a stage, and all the players are merely holographic shards of God, costumed and made up to look and behave like members of the cast. Men and women, stars and planets, having their exits and their entrances, playing out all possible themes and variations of existence, experiencing all possible plots and scenarios, building and striking all possible sets, scenery, and locations. At the moment, You and I are lost in our parts. We're asleep, dreaming we are those actors. We live among family members and spouses and neighbors and co-workers and fellow citizens and accept our role as one among millions. We surrender to the concept that we've been separately cast as bit players or secondary characters in this production. But be truthful with yourself. Admit it. Deep inside, you've always known. You've always known, even from infancy, that it's your movie. No matter how modest or grand or delightful or terrifying or boring or painful or ecstatic your life circumstances may be, every day of your life you get up in the morning and go to sleep each night knowing full well you were the main character. You were the protagonist. You're the hero. You are the heroine. You're the lead actor. You know in your heart of hearts that you are the star. And you're right. You are the center of all consciousness, looking out upon the movie of your own creation. And that's our Sunday school sermon for today. I hope you have an opportunity to enjoy a beautiful day and a beautiful start to your week. So until tomorrow, Sunday school is dismissed. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.